Welcome back to Rocket Talk. I'm Connor, and as always, I'm joined by my hosts, Luke.
Hello.
And Johnny.
Hello.
And we are still in this pandemic. We have so much free time, and it is absolutely insane. But even though there's not much to do, we still are able to create opportunities as they come. So I do still want to say another quick thank you to Gabe Ocarina 96 for letting us interview him. I hope that we can spend more time with him in the future. But that was absolutely awesome. I'm really glad that you guys were there to experience that. And if you guys have not already, go check him out on Twitter, on YouTube, and yes, he's got some great content. And he's still coming out with great content, so go and subscribe to him. And yes, like I said, we do have a lot of spare time on our hands, but Johnny, you are the only one here with a superpower. So what has been your current binge?
Well, I am currently going through my Disney Plus watch list that I've been neglecting pretty much since it came out. I've been so focused on a lot of Netflix stuff. So I've been watching rewatching a lot of Disney movies and watching old Disney shows from when I was a kid, and also watching new Disney shows that I haven't seen before. One is that I'm watching for the first time is Goof Troop.
That is the most Johnny thing ever.
Yeah, I'm surprised you never watched Goof Troop as a kid, because that's like a very up your alley.
Yeah, like the Goofy movie is one of my favorite like Disney movies and one of my favorite movies ever. But it came out before I was born, and it kind of hit popularity before I really was watching TV. But now that I've got the Disney Plus account, I've only watched a few episodes so far, but I've got plans to watch. There's apparently 78 episodes, so give me a few days.
There you go.
Give him like.
You should also watch X-Men Evolution when you're done with that, because that is the best X-Men cartoon. They were all like high school age. I liked it as a young chillin'.
Is that on Disney Plus?
Yep.
Oh, okay. I will then.
A bunch of the old Marvel, like the 90s and early 2000s cartoons, are all on there. It's pretty great. Mine would be probably some stuff I've been doing. Would be Ab and I did watch Onward on Friday, and
nice.
I don't get why Pixar has to hurt us again, like they do with Coco and Toy Story, and Up and all these other movies. And they're like, hey, let's hurt these people. But it was really good.
I just watched Coco this morning, and it was very good. I'd seen it before, but I hadn't seen it since it came out, and I just watched it a few hours ago, and it was very, very good, very heartwarming.
Yeah,
it's just amazing how like even a quote bad Pixar movie is still like a solid movie.
I don't know. Do people think that's not a good one?
No. I'm just saying in general. No, like people love Coco and Honor, but I'm saying like the Cars movies are like their weakest, and a couple of the some of the other ones of like the late 2000s, early 2010s didn't sit as well. But it's like, Toy Story, the whole Toy Story quadrilogy or whatever, was good. Even though 4 is the weakest of the 4 by far,
it's still amazing.
It's still good. It's just that the first 3 are nearly perfect. That 4 being really good, like just pegs in comparison compared to the other ones. But yeah, no, it's great. And then we're going through Brooklyn Nine-Nine again right now, just because.
Right.
Yeah, that's what she'll do in her free time, and then I'll tag along while we're playing Animal Crossing or just hanging out.
Mm-hmm. Are you one of those people who can play video games and watch Netflix at the same time?
Yeah, I'll have it on the background. When I was a kid, we did that. We had 2 TVs in our basement. We had one on the cable, and then one that had the sound off on the PlayStation.
Wow, I can't do that. Johnny can do that. I've never been able to do that. I need to if I watch a movie or if I play a video game, I like surrender myself to that.
Well, and it'll be there'll be certain things like if I want to watch a new I'm not going to do that while I'm watching a new episode of Brooklyn Nine-Nine or The Office or Goof Troop.
You're only going to do that when you can mindlessly listen to something in the background you've heard 100 times.
Yeah. If it's a show I've watched, I'll have it on. But yeah, if I'm watching a new episode of something, I won't be be watching it. So, but yeah, I did the same as a kid. Like, yeah, I'd have SpongeBob on, and I'd be playing Crash Team Racing or Sonic Adventure 2, and just because it's whatever.
Nice. But during something like this, it makes me yes, I've been getting caught up on some video games and all these Netflix shows, but I also kind of wish I was, I wish I had skills in other areas. Like I've always wished I had I could, I had some sort of skill in carpentry. That way I could actually do something more productive than just playing video games.
No, man. I'll just stick playing video games. I don't know. That one's a hard one to think about because I'm sure I can find something that I would want to be able to do. But right now, more to the point that I just like want to do things that isn't just hang out inside. But that's just me. Like it's I'm like even when I'm at work, when I used to go on breaks, I used to go and just like walk around Target or like the mall is close by just because there's something to do, and now I'm not doing that. It's just like But yeah, I don't really. Yeah, I don't know if I really have any sort of skills I wish I had. What about you, Johnny? Is there anything you wish you
well,
had
nothing
this
that
time?
I guess it's nothing more than I wish I had that would be useful for like right now because I'm kind of like I'm doing okay. I mean, you guys know me pretty well. Like this isn't like I'm not like having a party. I'm not enjoying being stuck at home, but I'm definitely making the most of it. But as far as like taking advantage of the time I have, I'm trying to learn Spanish again. And so every day for the past week and a half, I've been learning a few lessons, 2 or 3 lessons a day on Duolingo for Spanish.
Awesome. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, thank you. And so it keeps me like engaged with something that's not video games and Netflix because that is otherwise literally all I'm doing the entire day. It is like sleep, wake up, play a video game, take a nap, wake up, watch some Netflix and play video games, and then go to bed for the night. Like it's becoming. I'm losing track of time because I don't even know what day it is. I don't know what like. It's just yeah. So but this is kind of helping me. Like I do it around lunchtime every day. And so I'll sit down for about 10, 15 minutes and I'll practice a few lessons of Spanish. And I know it pretty well because I took it for 4 years. And I'm not yet at the point where I'm like learning anything new. It's more I'm just refreshing what I've known and would not have known when I first started, but I'm kind of like relearning it. But I'm getting closer to the part where I am going to start learning new stuff, and I know with like practice and a lot of practice over a lot of time, I'll be able to hopefully speak it pretty well. I'm if I can get this to be a habit, throughout the time that we're in quarantine, then maybe by the time we're out, if I keep this as a habit, I can eventually speak it close to fluently. So,
Dude, that's
Tango
awesome.
es dragon en los pantalones.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
You're being so much more productive than all of us. So major props to you.
Yeah, man, I'm not even productive at work.
Yeah, you guys are both working, so I have the time to do that.
Yeah, but it's not like I want to.
Yeah, true. I don't know. Yeah, I should find something else too. I should bring my book with me to work too, so that way I can like read that and not just like sit on Twitter or be playing Animal Crossing or Tie. I am almost done with Tie already.
That's awesome.
But I mean, it's not that difficult of a game to beat. It's like because there's 9 main levels and then a couple like at the end and boss fights. But I just need to collect a couple more. What is the thing called? I just need to the main collectible slipped my mind for a second, but I just need to collect a couple more of those on one level, and then I need the last couple. But I have all the boomerangs and all that. So
nice.
Yeah.
I mean, as long as we can keep our minds active during this time, and I'm still. I mean, I think we're all still consuming news, and I guess we could just dive right into our first story of the day, which is definitely an attention grabber. Did you guys hear about that news about Cats? How there's an unreleased version of the movie where all of the characters have buttholes.
Dude, this movie is just a disaster. Everything about it. Like, I mean, I guess it makes sense because they're cats. Cats and humans have buttholes. But, like, the fact that someone took the time to, they programmed in a butthole in the computer, the computer-generated cats. And then they had to go and take the rest out. Like, just, and like they had all this stuff where there were issues if you went the first couple days of the movie that there were some bunch of glitches and issues where like characters weren't fully animated. And so you'd see one with like a human hand in their wedding ring. And it's just
oh my gosh.
And it's like this was one of those movies that I can't remember the studio, but there was a studio I want to say in Vancouver that was like a CGI studio, and they had to shut down right around New Year's. And one of the last things they worked on was Cats and then Sonic. And it's just like how and they were probably stretched super thin. I've heard a lot of horror stories about just anything in that in general, but especially the ones who worked on Cats.
Yes, apparently Tom Hooper, who directed it, was just like treated them like garbage, and he had, from what it sounded like from the cast and crew, he didn't really have an understanding of the sheer amount of time it was going to take to computer generate all the fur and the motion and the correct physics with it, because he didn't want his actors, being in motion capture suits, because he thought it would be distracting, and so that put so much of an extra burden on the visual effects team that they were all like pulling, all-nighters and stuff trying to get to the end of it. And so it sounded like they would present him with like a quick scene, like a quick 5 seconds of the movie, and they would all just be, clay animation looking computer generated effects. And he would be like, "What is this shit?" And they're like, "Well, this is what it's going to be. We still have to finish it, but we wanted to get your opinion on what the movement looks like." He's like, "This is unfinished. Why are you showing it to me? We just wanted your opinion on the motion. Like, what do you think about this? What do you think of him, jumping up and twirling and blah, blah, blah." And they're like, "I don't care. Finish it and then show me." And so he just had absolutely no idea what he was doing as when it came to visual effects.
That sound, it's like you want them to spend so many hours on finishing it only to be told that something is wrong, and then they have to do it all over again. Like, you should be there every step of the way.
He apparently he hasn't made any statements, and his team has not reached out for direct comments, but like there's some rumors floating around the Twitter sphere that he's he was kind of a dictator over the whole thing. And also on Twitter, #release_the_butthole_cut has been
because that's kind of playing off of the Snyder Cut, like the long ass version of Justice League, and so they want, and then you see it, people want the original Star Wars cuts and all that, so it just makes sense. Yes, release the butthole cut, and so that was trending on Twitter. Here's something really funny though that I was looking up. So Cats on everything, commercially, critically, was a failure. It was it failed to make back its budget. It failed everything. Its box office was only 75.4 million. Onward, which was released during a pandemic, made 103 million. And look, this is a movie that came out, in March, right around the effects of the coronavirus, and is also already on streaming services and is available digitally. Because of the coronavirus, and I mean, sure, yeah, it's also Disney and Pixar's like that. That's an easy money maker, but like it's not like Cats had like no cast. Like it had, Idris Elba and Jennifer
really
Hudson.
big cast, yeah.
It's Tom Hooper with a musical. It's going to have a huge cast.
It's just insane that like it has some heavy hitters across both just like the entertainment world. Because you had like Jason Derulo and Taylor Swift and Jennifer Hudson. That's all like musicians, and you have like good actors like Idris Elba and Ian McKellen. Like it's like Ian McKellen and Idris Elba are two phenomenal actors that are good in almost every part they play, and then they're in this movie.
I wonder like what it was about this movie that like enticed them into the role.
Well, it's an Oscar. What's the word? I can't even remember, but I shared this link, Why is Cats? And apparently Tom Hooper, attached to a musical, wins Oscars. He doesn't necessarily perform well against critics, but they win Oscar nominations.
And they did get an Oscar nomination too, it's funny. So like if you look on the Wikipedia page and go down to its awards, it has everything that it was up for, at like the Golden Globes. Oh no, it wasn't nominated for an Oscar. It just was nominated for a Golden Globe, a Kids' Choice Awards, and then a bunch of Raspberry Awards. It won Worst Picture, Worst Director, Worst Supporting Actor. Rebel Wilson and Judi Dench were both up for Worst Supporting Actress, and Rebel Wilson won.
Oh
no! Any two half feline, half human hairballs won Worst Screen Combo over Jason Derulo and his CGI neutered bulge. It won the Worst Screenplay. Beautiful Ghosts was nominated for Best Original Song at the Golden Globes and didn't win. And then Taylor Swift was nominated for favorite movie actress, but I don't think they were able to do the Kids' Choice Awards this year because of the whole, Rona.
The Rona.
It's interesting because I remember watching an interview with Taylor Swift saying they were finishing up that Beautiful Ghost songs about 2 hours before shooting it. So the singer for that song,
they were finished writing it.
Yeah, finished writing the song.
Oh my God!
2 hours before they had to shoot, and so that the singer probably would have won a Golden Globe if she had a little bit more confidence when singing, but she had zero time to learn the material.
Wow,
that's great.
Yeah, this whole thing was an absolute, disaster through and through from beginning to end, and that's why there's probably not going to be another, musical directed by Tom Hooper for a while. But he's gonna get his name attached to something else, and he's gonna win Oscars because that's kind of what he does. But we're gonna be moving on. I guess we finally got a sneak peek of, not a sneak peek, we got exactly to see what the PS5 controller is all about. The Xbox controller came out, I think they revealed that back in March. So Luke, I'll let you take the reins on this. What do you think about the specs of this controller?
So we found out, it just was like out of the blue on, I can't remember what day, even though I go to work, my days are also kind of blending together. They revealed the PS5 controller Tuesday or Wednesday of last week. They're moving away from every controller except for the launch PS3 while the DualShock wasn't out yet. All the since they added the analog sticks, all the controllers are DualShock because it has the DualShock has 2 motors for the vibration. And then the DualShock 2, they upgraded DualShock 3 for the PS3. And then for the PS4, for the DualShock 4, they for the first time really changed the design, outside of some minor tweaks. And so for the PS5, instead of going with the DualShock 5, they're going with the DualSense. And so it's and they're also changing the design again, where it's going to go a little bit more rounded and a lot closer to a Switch Pro controller or an Xbox One controller in terms of the shell. Not as much where you have the prongs that almost seem like they just were kind of forced in there, and a few other things like that. And so some of the new specs it's going to have is it's going to have a built-in microphone, which will help for another easy way for people who don't have a nice headset that they can hop on and talk to their friends. It's gonna have the light bar instead of being on the back of the controller and probably drain the battery. It's gonna move in where the big touchpad button is.
And let me jump in there. This is so each generation before, as you were describing, has been minor tweaks and changes. This time, it seems they kind of revamped the whole thing.
And so the DualShock 4 was was another bigger change. If you look up a picture of the DualShock, like the DualShock 3, the DualShock 1, 2, and 3 are almost exactly the same. Just the 3 was wireless and had the PlayStation button. But like if you look at a PlayStation 2 controller and a PlayStation 3 controller, they're almost the exact same. Just the trigger buttons in the back were slightly different. And then the DualShock 4 is they kind of widened it, they kind of rounded it a little more, made it a little bit more comfortable to hold, because the PS2, 1, 2, and 3 controllers were so much smaller compared to the PS4. But yeah, this wasn't like their biggest departure because like that one still kind of looked like the PS3 controller, and this one, yeah, like I said, it's more rounded. So they had already started to kind of change, but yeah, this is another big one they've done where they've changed around. One of the big new additions they're putting in is it has adaptive triggers, and so what it can do is they can put tension in the triggers. The Xbox One controller has it, but the only games I know of that use it is the Forza racing games, where when you brake, there's a little bit of tension to feel like when the brake pads are being used. It's like just like in real life, and you put brake, there's that little bit of that tension that you can kind of feel. Mm-hmm. So I guess that is one thing they're going to be doing. So because it says that'll help players feel the tension of your actions, like drawing a bow to shoot an arrow. So like that'll be in The Last of Us Part 2 remastered release, or you can feel. I think that their feedback is gonna be more like a HD rumble instead of just motors, so you can feel the dirt and all that. So they're doing a lot of stuff that other controllers have kind of already had, or improving what they have done, and then they're even doing a couple things with their self. They're changing the share button that was on the PlayStation controller to the create button, but be the same thing. You can take a screenshot and put it on Twitter. So this is kind of their big evolution, where then on the Xbox side of things, it's more of a don't fix what's broken, because the Xbox controller is a pretty beloved controller now from what they've done from the 360 and the Xbox One. The only big change I can think of is they have a share button on there now, like the PS4, and then both are now USB.
Like the size of it, it's going to be better for people with smaller hands. With the Xbox controller.
Because they might have tweaked a couple things here and there too, but for the most part, they basically took an Xbox One controller and added an extra button on the center. Both overall, it's pretty. They're kind of meshing together, where there's a lot of the same features now that they all have. But I don't know on the design. I think the design as itself, like just the base design, is fine. I just don't like the color scheme. Like because the weird part is, so if you look at it, it's primarily white. And then there's that black where the sticks are, and like the speaker and the PlayStation button, and that's it. And then the trigger buttons are black too. But everything else, if you look at photos of it, the rest of the controller is all white.
It looks really futuristic. Like it looks like something in like a Tron movie.
Yeah, the joke that's been going on Twitter is that they would always be like those like clickbaity articles you would see, like the sponsor articles, and it'd be like, oh, here's concepts of GameCube 4, and it looks like one of those, or it'd be like some crappy video someone would make in 2007. My dad works for Microsoft and he showed me these prototypes. Like it looked like one of those. I just don't like the white and the black. Like I hope they come out with a solid color one soon, or if they use that same design, like a fun one, like a Spider-Man one or something. I just don't like the color scheme though, because it just looks weird. Like why is there just randomly a couple black spots on it? And so then I'm wondering, once we see the PS5, if it's going to be the same, where it's 75-80% white with some black accents.
And so I think another, I guess, problem people had with the old PS3, PS4 controllers is the triggers being so low. If they set it down on a couch, it'll pause or rewind.
It'll mess up your movies if you're watching with a controller. Yeah, I mean, I've been, especially the PS3 was even worse at it, because it's really easy to do. The PS4, you had to kind of set it down at an angle to do it, but the PS3, if you just like set it down, there's a chance you could have tripped it. I mean, I don't watch a ton of movies that use the back trigger buttons to fast forward. I think it's they use the front ones more on stuff. I don't know. I've run into that issue a couple times, but I'm not one that's like, people are so mad about that. I'm just like, whatever. Mm-hmm. The biggest thing I hope this new controller does is that it improves its battery life, because the Pro controller, you get like 70, 80 hours with. The Xbox One controller has a better battery life when you use the rechargeables instead of the AA's, but the PS4 only lasts like 10 hours on a single charge or something like that, which is like, that's still like good, but like when you compare it to the fact that like the Pro controller gets like 70, like
Jesus,
like you can play, like someone could play a Switch, almost 3 days straight with no sleep, and like their controller will last, where then someone with their PS4, they have to keep plugging it in. But
somebody pointed out that, not to me, but on a video, that that the blue light that's going on, that's going to drain some of the battery as well. So
yeah, but it's better than what it was in the PS4, because in the PS4 that blue light was roughly the size of like a stick of gum. Like think about it like a stick of like 5 gum.
Wow.
That's about how big the light bar was on the PS4, where this one it's more like smaller. Yeah, so that's why the PS4's that's why the PS4's controller battery was so bad, because that big light, and it took them. It was a few months before you could even dim it, and so because the light was supposed to help with the PlayStation camera, if you had it, to detect stuff or like a little bit of motion stuff and all that. The light was cool and all, but it was one of those that like after a while I was like, okay, let's fix this up. So
Mm.
overall, I'm decently happy with it, minus the design. I think the design isn't the best, but it'll be nice to. I want to see how it is compared to the PS4 controller or like an Xbox controller in my hands, because the DualShock 4 might be my favorite controller now of all time, and so I want to see how it compares to the other ones.
And another question. This is kind of moving on to the next topic while still kind of keeping one foot in the other one. Google Stadia is free for the next 2 months as of Wednesday the 8th. That came with its own controller, right? Where does that controller read?
So I haven't used that controller. So yeah, so you can use other controllers if you want. But their controller, the Stadia controller, is you can use on like almost anything that with Stadia, where like right now, because I signed up for a free trial Stadia and I've kind of played around with it, but I haven't put as much time to really give like a full opinion on it. But with Stadia, you can plug in a wire, like you can wire your Xbox, your PS4 controller, and use that while it's plugged in. And then down the line, they're going to make it so a PS4 or Xbox controller can be used wirelessly. But if you have the Stadia controller, yeah, you can use it on anything that you can play Stadia on right away. It looks like it would be decently comfortable. It looks kind of like a PS4 controller and an Xbox controller had a baby. Basically, if you take a Xbox 360 controller and then swap the analog stick and the D-pad, so the analog sticks are both on the bottom like the PlayStation controller, and that's kind of like what the Stadia one looks like. I want to say it's like $70. I haven't used that. I mean, it looks like it's decent, and I haven't used that one as much. Yeah, we'll see. I'll use Stadia a little more throughout the week, and so I can give some more information on it. But like there's a reason why Google is giving Stadia away for free for 2 months, and it's not because of the coronavirus. It's because they want people to use it.
I've not heard good reviews so far.
It's a nice concept, like the idea is, hey, I can go play Doom Eternal, and I can just use my Chromecast and my internet, and I can play Doom Eternal. I don't have to go and buy a nice, like you could play it on. I could play Doom Eternal on my laptop right now and have no issues. Where if I bought it on Steam or the Epic Store, whichever store Doom Eternal's on, and downloaded it, I'd have to turn a bunch of settings down on my computer because it's a $800 HP laptop, not a gaming PC. So you can do a lot more stuff with Stadia, and you can't use it on iPhones just yet, but you can use them on phones. You can use them on like Pixels and some of the other. I think it's just Pixels right now that use them, but you can use them on phones, and you could play Doom or Red Dead Redemption 2, on a cell phone.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's kind of like the future of gaming is cloud gaming, and so that's
the
direction they wanted to go in.
Because Sony has been using cloud gaming for most of the PlayStation 4 lifespan. In Japan, they're using some cloud streaming for Switch games. Like you can play one of the more recent Resident Evils. You can play in Japan streaming it. And the Xbox is going to have a xCloud is what Microsoft is calling it. They're going to have a thing like that too, where this will be a thing in the future that'll help, because it's one of the nice things is, nowadays you don't get as much with the Switch because like they're smaller games, but like if you bought Xbox 360 right now and you bought Call of Duty, you put the disc in your Xbox, and then you'd have to download a bunch of stuff because there's only so much on that disc. Or if you went and bought it digitally, you'd have to wait for it to download everything. Where if Call of Duty's not on Stadia right now, but if Call of Duty was on Stadia, you just boot it up, and if you have fast enough internet, then bam, you can jump right into Modern Warfare, and you can play multiplayer in a couple minutes instead of a couple hours. But yeah, the little bit of time I've had with it, though, I mean, it's like cool. There's not a whole lot of because it's their you get access to their pro service, so you can go and you can access. There's a bunch of like free games that you can play with it, but a handful of them, like Destiny 2, are already free to play anyways on every console, and then these other ones are just like nothing to write home about. They're not giving you Red Dead Redemption or even like an older game like Tomb Raider or something for free with it. You have to go out and buy them. So I'll play around a little more of that with Destiny and Grid and some of the other games, and next week I can give a little more. But so far, not
sounding
worth,
good.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, yeah, okay. Well, we'll expect more next week. But yeah, thank you for sharing that. I guess that can lead us now into the topic of the week. So you guys probably saw this. AMC theaters. There are reports out that they might not be recovering from these closures. However, hopefully that's, these are just rumors, but there are bankruptcy rumors grow. But this hopefully might not be the end of the chain or their business. But still, what are you guys' thoughts on this? Like a lot of these theaters are not seeing, they're not seeing people for the next few months, but they're not being able to pay,
they can't pay the rent, they can't pay the utilities.
Exactly, and so that's could be the end.
Yeah, it's crazy because it's like AMC is the biggest movie theater chain in America, and they're one of the biggest in the world in terms of just like their reach. Because Cineworld and Cinemark are the next ones in America in terms of their reach. But yeah, it's like there's AMC's everywhere. They have 1,000 theaters and they have 11,000 screens throughout the country and the world. And so yeah, it's crazy that a company that big that brought in $5.6 billion in 2018 could be going out. But they've been having a lot of issues with money the last couple of years. Their total assets and their equity have been a lot lower. They've been in a deficit the last couple of years. But yeah, it's just like how does and how does the company that charges you $15 to get a popcorn, there were a lot of jokes when this first came out. It's like, but man, a small popcorn's 45, 46. How do they not have an emergency fund? Or like, it is crazy because if they somehow do go under, that's going to be a huge impact on the movie theater industry because like I said, they have the biggest reach in America with and they have another few hundred across because of their 1,661 according to Wikipedia are in the United States. So 2/3 of their 1,000 theaters are just in this country. So 600 across of a country of 330 million people. And like, yeah, sure, you have places like Maryville that it's still small, independent places like the Hangar. But, like the theater that Ab and I go to here is an AMC. And most of the other theaters close by, like the two we've gone to for when I've seen Sonic and Star Wars has been two different AMCs. And, now like if they go out, the one thing though, one of the articles that you shared, there is a way that since the theater industry needs them, like AMC and Cinemark and all them, to show movies. There was some sort of way with the way the bankruptcy works that they could still stay open. I didn't fully understand.
If they file for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Yeah. So according to Deadline, if AMC files for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, Chapter 11 still gives them the freedom to open up their doors, even though they are considered bankrupt, and they can still make money. And here's another interesting I learned from this Deadline article. I had absolutely no clue that the majority of the income that AMC theaters brings in is from ticket sales. I thought all of it, I thought the majority of it was, popcorn and soda and snacks. But no, there's still like 20 to 25% of a wide release's opening weekend's gross, or up to 30% on a great weekend. That's before popcorn or Coca-Cola.
Yeah. I mean, ticket sales are still what would drive them. Because think about it, like, how many times when you go to a movie do you not get something because you don't want to spend $6 on, a can of Monster, like the can of Monster that you can get at, Walmart for $2.15. Mm-hmm. So, it just is crazy because I do wonder how many more of these we might be seeing as this current thing goes on. But yeah, it's like this is the biggest theater chain in the country, and they could be hurting. And then it just makes you wonder too. So even if they can recover, what does this mean for the theater industry as a whole in the future? Because the movie theater industry has been hurting for a while. Outside of your Marvel, your Star, like it's your big name Disney movies, basically Marvel, Star Wars, Pixar, Frozen, all that stuff like that. Like outside of those ones, a lot of these movies, they don't like make as much money anymore that they used to. You don't see this. I mean, part of that too, just the way Hollywood is with their nostalgia and sequel, pandering, where everything is a remake or a sequel or a reboot, and so original ideas don't really come out much anymore. And then on top of that, they don't do as well compared to, episode 9 of Star Wars and the 22nd MCU film and all that.
Mm-hmm. This is a mixture of a bunch of different things, but it's, people consider their options, and the option is just wait for a movie that's going to cost them an arm and a leg to come out on a streaming service that they already own. And so even though these theaters have been trying to refurbish inside, get the lazy boy chairs, and even, if you go to a certain movie theater, you can have people offering, like waiters come in and take your order for like, a steak dinner with your movie and stuff like that. But it's not aggressive enough. It's not enough to, justify the prices of paying, if you're in like LA or New York, $19 for a movie. It's people have their options now, and the movie theaters just need to, I don't know if they can reasonably just like pull back on their prices. I don't know if they can do that.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the biggest things that's really helped some of the theaters has been when they've done their $5 Tuesdays or their discount Tuesdays. Tuesdays has actually become one of the biggest days for movies now because of places like AMC and in Omaha Marcus theaters putting movies on sale. So you go to Majestic in Omaha on Tuesday, like you go there on a Tuesday, and it's almost as busy as a Friday. Some weeks it's even busier than a Friday now. Well, not right now because they're probably closed, but before all this, and there were times where I would, outside of like Star Wars and like the big Marvel movies, I would just wait. And it's like, okay, I'll just wait a couple days, spend almost half the price, and go see it on a Tuesday night in Omaha instead of the $9-10 to see it on a Thursday or Friday night. But
of course. And one thing I do want to say, movie theaters are going to survive. We will never see a total complete closure of movie theaters because it just offers a different experience than the home experience. Because when I went to go see 1917, when I saw it in theaters, it just encapsulates the whole. It just really, really you surrender yourself up to the experience, whereas sometimes you can't get that at home. So we're going to see just an evolution in the movie theaters. I think we're going to see more student friendly prices like Tuesdays they offer $5 movies for students, or maybe just $5 for a matinee. I can't remember quite what it was, but they'll have to just re-strategize.
Yeah, well, and it does make you wonder. So AMC hurting, what will that mean for the these smaller independent ones? Like something like going back to in college when we all was with the Hangar, as Johnny used to work there. Like you had what 4 or 5 movies at a time there, Johnny?
5, yeah.
Yeah, so you have 5 movies on 4 screens, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so you had 5 movies on 4 screens.
Well, no, 5 movies. We rarely had the same film on 2 different screens. So it was always 5 on 5, like 5.
Oh, you had 5 screens? Oh, I needed 5 movies. Okay,
a different movie on each screen.
So yeah, 5 movies, 5 screens. That's it. And you have to decide. Obviously, your Frozen, your Star Wars, your stuff like the movies that are making billions in the box office. Those are the ones that were going to be at the Hangar. But your smaller, your independent movies, your more Oscar, like those movies that come out and it's like this came out to be an Oscar movie. You didn't always get those, and so you'd have to drive 45 minutes to St. Joe to see stuff. And what will an AMC struggling more mean then for a place like the Hangar then, where people already were like, do I want to go and see this movie when I can go to St. Joe and see more movies? And
well, thankfully with Maryville, they have absolutely no competition, so hopefully it won't hurt them that bad. But a complete closure for a pandemic, yeah, that's where it's going to be.
But I'm just saying this in general because
just
because movie theaters are hurting in general, and those are these are places that you can go to and you can see a dozen movies. What will that mean for a place that you can't see some of the biggest movies that come out because they have to decide, is it worth keeping this is it worth keeping this kids movie here that's been out for a couple weeks over this new one that may not get as much ticket sales, or is it worth bringing this one that's getting the lowest ticket sales but critically is like a darling, and it's going to be one that's going to win Oscars. So but
it's going to be
it'll be interesting to see. Johnny, with you being a big movie guy, what do you think about all this?
It's disappointing, but not really surprising. Because I don't know, like I definitely don't think that this means it's the end for movies. But if AMC is like losing money, then I kind of have to think that after all this time and all the money that they've had coming in, like it's kind of on them. I mean, like if you're really going to charge that much popcorn and like a few weeks of being inactive is going to make you bankrupt, like, and you're this big of a company, there's something you did wrong along the way. And like if it's a small company, then like I get that they don't have a lot of like money backed up, and if they're like failing, then that's that's really unfortunate. But for a big company like AMC, I just don't have the same sympathies. And I love going to AMC theaters. Like I think they're great. I love all movie theaters really, but AMC really just gives the pure movie theater experience. In that they charge me an arm and a leg for a small popcorn. But I I don't think that this is definitely going to be the end of movies in general. I just think that it might shake up. I mean, it apparently is going to shake up how AMC does things from now on. So if at all.
I mean, they'd be smart to change things up, at least to figure out how they can not be in the hole as bad as they are. But yeah, well, it'll be interesting to see what does come from this in the future. I think, like we said, we'll probably see something that will hopefully change. It's just crazy because, like, even thinking about it's the prices for the food that is the worst part about going to movies, honestly. Because now that they've done all this with the nicer chairs and even though concession prices suck, some places they're like when you go to like the bistro or the food, where they call their dining service, they're decently priced. You're basically getting Applebee's catered to your movie theater. Yeah. Is a good way to look at it, because I've gotten food at Majestic in Omaha, and it'd be one that like you can get a chicken strip basket and it's like $9 or something like that. It's like the same thing you'd get going to a ball game or going to Applebee's, and it's it's about the same quality as Applebee's. It tastes like a frozen meal that they heated up for you, but it's decent if you were kind of short on time. You can go to a bistro show and instead get your money, get your food while you watch the movie at the same time. But yeah, your small Coke and your little box of M&Ms is still, those two things are gonna be like $12 to get that, when you can go to the CVS up the street, buy that same box of M&Ms for a quarter of the price.
Exactly, and that's I guess hopefully from now on we won't have to like sneak candy into our pockets or
we never do that.
Never in a million years. What am I saying? Whoops.
Fun thing. What is the weirdest thing that you have ever snuck into a movie? Because we all of it.
I don't know that I've really snuck in anything weird. Just candy. It might be the worst of it. Yeah, probably just candy for me.
What about you, Luke?
I brought in either Sonic or Taco Bell one time. Because there's right by Majestic, there's that Sonic and Taco Bell, just slightly up the road, and so I did that one time. I've always seen some funny things online. My favorite is there's the meme of the kid who brought the can of beans into the show in Cars 2, and he spilled it. So some children said that fella is eating beans, there's inappropriate words in that I'm not going to say too, but that is a funny meme because it's just like that's always one. I've seen some funny things of people like bringing in like beer or just some really obscure random things into that reminds me, kind of off topic, but Connor, you remember Rob?
Of course.
Did you ever hear the time that he opened a bag of pizza rolls in one of his classes?
What?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
What?
Yeah. He just like just opened up a Ziploc bag and the steam comes out. He's just like, "What's pizza rolls?"
That's awesome.
I'm sure he's done the same. I'm sure he's done the same at a movie as well.
Sure.
But
yeah, I was hoping to hear something like really obscure, like you took in pork chops or something like that to
that would be
movie theater.
Yeah, no, I brought in either like a couple tacos or a Sonic cheeseburger, one of those two one time.
Awesome.
Yeah, I guess I've brought in Taco Bell before. That's true.
Yeah, but it doesn't count for anything when you worked at the hangar.
Oh, okay. Well, never mind then.
Yeah. Well, hopefully they can get through this. They're gonna have to rethink and re-strategize. I truly don't want to see them go under because I am a fan of AMC theaters, but this pandemic, like who could have expected this to happen? So hopefully they can get through this. But yeah, I guess we can move on now. So Luke, last week you gave us a recommendation and we had to review it. Do you want to remind everyone what you recommended?
Yes. So it was the making of Sonic 3 and Knuckles. It was the Splash Wave series of videos. And one of the big reasons why I picked it was one, I had just watched a different YouTuber named Game Apologist spend almost the entire length of the Sonic film talking about Sonic 3 and Knuckles, and he mentioned that video again. It was, and I was just like, oh yeah, because the guy who makes these videos, the animations he uses for everything is like one of my favorite parts about him, and so I was just like, which one should I do? And then since Sonic 3 and Knuckles was on my mind, then I just gave that one. So I did that one. And speaking of Sonic 3 Knuckles, I did actually play a little bit of that last night, and it was tons of fun again.
Yeah. So Johnny, do you want to kick us off with our reviews here, and then we can jump into our ratings after I give my review?
Yeah. So I thought that this video was really interesting. It definitely kept me engaged because I just talking about this had got me back into Sonic Mania, and so I played a little bit of that. But it was definitely like it reminded me a little bit of the Tetris video that you had us watch like a month or so ago, because it was a lot about the development process of it, and there was a lot of information I just didn't even realize. And what I loved about it was that it showed a lot of like ads from like the 90s, or like a lot of animations from the 90s, and like how they would like sell a Sonic game. And I'm like, wow, that is so very of its time. And yeah, I thought that it was really interesting. I liked that it was basically like cut into essentially two games because of like the addition of Knuckles, and or not because of Knuckles.
No, it was because of McDonald's.
Yeah, but Knuckles was like in it, and I don't know, it was really it was a good video. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. You love recommending video essays, and that's I actually honestly love them because they're even if it's for something that I've never played. I guess anything before Adventure 1 or yes, I haven't played anything before that. So even though I didn't grow up with these games, it's still interesting to hear. I love hearing the backgrounds on these processes, like seeing what the sketches look like before it's brought onto a computer screen. I love learning like how add an extra layer of trees and it gives it more depth. And a lot of levels from the previous game were able to be brought over to Sonic 3, and it would still be good for multiple characters to play, even though like someone's gonna be flying through it or someone's gonna be running through it. There's still different things that they can use from the old games, I suppose. All of that stuff is just really interesting. And so I guess I have to ask, like, when you pick someone, is there a delivery style with the host of some of these video essays that you're just particularly drawn to, or like?
Not really, no, because I mean, I guess the guy who narrates the splash wave videos, he has like a nice voice, and yeah, Norman from Game Historian does that, but it's like there's some of the other ones that I've watched, it's like it's been kind of all over. I mean, typically most of these nerds who make their Sonic videos are men, but it's like it doesn't matter if he has like a higher voice, a lower voice, an accent. Like I mean, there's a couple that I always got mixed up because it was like, oh, is it this channel, that channel? But not really. It's just more just whichever ones like are more interesting videos, and then if I like the videos enough, then I usually continue to watch more of theirs.
Mm-hmm. And I really enjoyed this one, and like you said, I wouldn't be able to tell if they were ever like BSing me or not, because everything that they say seems to be really accurate and very well studied. I can't even imagine the amount of hours I think you have to go into for studying such and such topic.
Well, what's crazy is so it's one of those that, like, they mentioned this video, Michael Jackson was part of the soundtrack.
Yeah,
and like that's not as much of I mean, it still is like a fun fact, but that's less of one now because there's been so much research that the community's done to figure it out compared to 15 years ago when people were first really starting to put it together that Michael Jackson had some sort of hand in the soundtrack, because one of the first early viral videos on YouTube was a guy that went over this, and for the most part, he still was right on stuff. There's a couple songs he was wrong about. Then later on, as we found more information, we figured, okay, this, and it was one that he did do the stuff in Sonic 3. It's just now we know a lot more because of all this research and dedication.
Mm-hmm. Johnny, do you want to give your review, your rating?
Yeah, I would give this, let's see, I would give it 7.5 and Knuckles out of 10.
I'm going to give this a solid 9 extra layers out of 10.
Ooh,
layers of trees.
Yeah, I like that they talked about the foreground and the background, and there were different like levels of like how they animated things depending on which layer of the fore or background there was. And because I never think of that kind of thing, but it makes perfect sense that that's how they show animation in Sonic.
Yeah. What's speaking of stuff in the backgrounds, there's a revelation that I just remembered that like someone just like figured out relatively recently. I don't know if someone figured this out years ago and never made it public, but actually, if you go and you look at the game on Angel Island, the first level, if you're playing as Sonic or Tails, the background is different compared to Knuckles because during Knuckles playthrough, Angel Island's still in the sky, and during Sonic and Tails, it's already crashed down because of the Death Egg, and so you have two different backgrounds with the characters, and then this is something that took 25 years for people to figure out.
Wow.
Yeah, Three Knuckles is so much fun, especially because that's the only one of the of 1, 2, and then CD that hasn't been re-released a million times because of the whole soundtrack issue with some on Michael's team wanting more royalties if it gets re-released, and so the fans have really taken on themselves to try to kind of give a remastered version of it online that can kind of take advantage of modern technologies and all that. But yeah, it's a fun game and a fun video. I'm glad you guys liked it.
Well, thank you for recommending it. And
Yep.
Also, Luke, you are not the only one to recommend something for us that we're going to be reviewing this week. When we talked to Gabe Ocarina 96, go and subscribe to him, he also gave us a recommendation. And so a few years ago, Studio Ghibli were celebrating 25 years, and they had a concert for it. Joe, I am so gonna screw up this name. Joe Budokan.
Composer guy.
Composer guy, yeah. anyways, so we were recommended to watch that. It's an almost about 2 hours long, but they go through a bunch of famous Studio Ghibli songs from their soundtracks and stuff like that, and it's absolutely gorgeous. Even though I haven't seen all these movies, it's still a lot of fun to have on the background. So go and listen to that, and and then let us know what you think, and we'll just please tell us what you want to hear from us more in the comments down below.
Yeah, I was honestly too going to Gabe's recommendation. I did enjoy that as well. I'm someone who has never seen a single Studio Ghibli movie in my life. But it was fun, because it was nice orchestral stuff. Actually, whatever is playing, whatever song from whatever movie is playing right around the 15-minute mark, had some of the same notes as Eggman's theme that was in Sonic 06, and then they kind of used it again for a few more games. The da 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 da. I was like, wait a second, this isn't Sonic 06. And so that comment, but yeah, I was when I was.
I don't know if you knew this, but Sonic 06 is actually a Studio Ghibli film.
That's they did the animations, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was crazy that just like I knew none of these songs, but it was still nice to hear. I was listening to it primarily when I was getting the last episode ready for posting on YouTube and Anchor, when I was converting it into a video and all that, and so I just had that on the background, and I knew none of these songs, but it sounded pretty. So I would give it 8 Eggman themes out of 10 probably.
Yeah. All right. Oh, that's actually pretty good. I was also going to give that a solid 8 Joe Budokins, if I'm saying that correctly, out of 10.
Wow.
8 mispronunciations.
8 mispronunciations.
I because none of us really have the nostalgia
attachment
that Gabe probably has. I think that's kind of what why we don't watch the movie, or we haven't seen the movies. I've seen only 2, and I mean they were good, but there's a lot I don't remember from them. But there wasn't a lot of nostalgia from listening to this that impacted me. But I will say that objectively it was beautiful music. It sounded great. I just didn't know what to connect it to. But knowing if you've seen or if you've listened to some of our videos in the past and our Gabe interview, he pushes a lot of the stuff he loves because he's like, I want people to know more about it, whether Studio Ghibli or Xenoblade or Rare Games, which that last one I'm definitely already on board with. But he's gotten me into wanting to get Xenoblade when it comes out, and now he's pushing Studio Ghibli forward.
Which a lot more of those did come to Netflix, so you can watch them.
Now they're on Netflix, and so now I have the perfect reason to go and watch them. So I'll probably give a few more of them a shot, and then maybe I'll listen to that concert again and finally understand where that music comes from.
Yeah.
True.
Well, in order to if we did want to watch Studio Ghibli, all we'd have to do is move to Europe and have Netflix.
Or just download Express, or as some YouTubers have told us, just download ExpressVPN. They're not the sponsor of this episode, but if they want to, they can go on ahead.
Yeah, please. Actually, I know you're listening. I know you're listening to us.
I would rate it 8.5 Studio Ghibli movies I have not seen yet out of 10.
Oh wow! Yeah. So we're not like IGN where we got rid of the point scale.
Nope.
Yeah, because they did that a year or 2 ago. They just do solid numbers to make it easier on people. Because
oh my gosh.
Oh, because 0.5 is so hard to wrap my brain around.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah. So I mean, and actually, like I was saying, Studio Ghibli just released another batch of movies on Netflix. I can't remember what that brings the total up to, but yeah, if you're in the US, you won't be getting it. But HBO Max is going to be the newest streaming service being offered next month. Is
it still coming out next month?
Oh yeah, that's. I mean, that as far as I know, it hasn't been said that it's not going to be dropping next month. But yeah. So are either of you guys tempted to be getting this new streaming service, or do you have any interest whatsoever?
Nah.
No.
No? Well,
No.
I do, so you guys can have my luck.
Cool, perfect. Yeah, because I don't know, man. There's so many streaming services, and that's money. And
I have Netflix, Hulu, and Disney Plus. That's really all I need. That's more than I need, but
That's way more. Do you not have the
I mean,
DC streaming service anymore?
what?
Do you not have the DC streaming service anymore?
I do not. No.
Oh, when'd you get rid of that?
Around the time when I got rid of my Netflix, but then I told my dad, I'm like, yeah, I can't pay for it anymore because I was paying for my whole family's Netflix. So he's like, don't worry, I'll start paying for it, and I'm like, okay, cool. And then that was also around the time that Disney came out. So yeah, I just kind of dropped all of my stuff. I think I still pay for Hulu, but I don't pay for Netflix or Disney anymore, or DC.
I mean, there are a good amount of stuff that's on. I'll be on HBO Max. So I'm sure I can find someone in my family or in my circle that would have it, because like there's a bunch of Looney Tunes on there that I'd like to go and rewatch, and and like it's like right now some of the movies are going to be premiering is like Lord of the Rings, Wonder Woman, Crazy Rich Asians, Casablanca, Spirited Away. Like there's a variety of good movies in multiple genres. The Matrix, but. Yeah, I don't know, man. I have too many streaming services as it is already. So yeah, unless either something unless there's some way that we can get it for free, or I can, mooch off of a friend, I probably will. Maybe I'll sign up for a free trial if they do like hey, here's a 15-day free trial on us. Okay, but
they're probably gonna do something like that. My wife was not even a little bit interested in it until she saw that Sex and the City is gonna be on it, and then she's like, Connor, we need to get this.
Oh my god.
Yeah, Abby and I talked about we're probably gonna get Peacock, the NBC streaming service, when that launches, because she loves The Office and Parks and Rec, and so but it's one of those that maybe we could figure out. Hey, hey, Abby and I will pay for Peacock if we can convince like one of our siblings or one of our parents to do HBO Max or to do this, and then we can all share it because we have access to the big ones too. Because Abby's phone plan comes with Disney Plus. Both Abby's family and my family both pay for Netflix. I have Hulu through my Spotify. So like we have those three. Like what else do you?
You might have said this already, but is The Office and Parks and Rec, are they leaving Netflix?
Yep, they'll be leaving Netflix to go on the NBC,
oh wow,
the NBC streaming thing. Yeah, because everyone wants their own thing. So Netflix has that deal with Viacom with some Nickelodeon stuff coming, but it's that's another huge. I mean, Netflix losing The Office is going to be huge.
Yeah, for sure.
People are like, oh no, people have to actually get a personality, and it's like that's funny and all, but yeah. So it's Xfinity customers. It is going to launch in a couple days, on April 15th, and then it'll launch for anyone in July. But yeah, then The Office and Parks will be leaving. Parks will join in October, and The Office will come in January. Once their contracts with Hulu and Netflix and Prime Video and all that run up, everything's gonna be coming off.
Okay, good. I still have time to finish The Office because I'm starting to enjoy it. I'm on season 3 now, I think.
So once you get past season 1 and the first half of season 2, like seasons 3 through like 6 are really funny, and then 7, 8 have some fun moments here and there, but it dips a little bit, and then season 9 it picks back up because a bunch of the old show writers came back, and then it ends really strong.
Parks and Rec is kind of the same way. I prefer Parks and Rec over The Office. I think they're both good, but Parks and Rec is definitely more my style of humor, which is more like, it reminds me a little bit of like the humor of Scrubs. But yeah, I Parks and Rec is good around season 3, and then it's good all up until what? Yeah, once Mark leaves and Ben and Chris show up, then all the way until the last season, I think it's really good. Like 3, 4, 5, and I believe 6 are the best seasons of the show. So
yeah. So people have to now pay for a different streaming service. It's still cheaper than some of these deals to get cable has been, but it's It's one of those, if someone wants everything, they have to pay a lot of money now.
I can't even imagine what that would be like to buy all of the services.
So to get everything, someone did the math when Disney Plus came out, and it was 130, I think. It was, but part of that was also because you're paying for HBO, Stars, and Showtime, which those three alone is like a third of the price.
Wow.
Wow. Jesus.
Yeah, because like HBO is like 15, like all of those are all like $15. But it's the same thing like cable. Like if you're wanting all three of those, then you're probably the person who's paying $250 a month for DirecTV to get all of those. It's cheaper to get all these streaming wise. It's annoying. It's another thing you have to get, and it'll be a different, like you're watching The Office, and then you want to go watch Brooklyn Nine-Nine. You have to go and switch to a different service. You can't just go and watch them both on the same thing anymore. So, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see, what all comes to everything. But we will have all that coming soon with more streaming services. If Xfinity customers can get it early, that's our Wi-Fi that we have. So I will see if I'm able to get that early, and I can play around with it and let you guys know how it is.
Yeet! Oh, that'd be great. We can all mooch off of each other. It's such a healthy.
So here we go. It says the structure, and then we can get into your recommendation too, Connor, because that was fun. So they'll have two tiers, kind of like Hulu. You can do one supported by advertising, limited to 5 minutes per hour by default, which is Peacock free at no charge to all U.S. internet users, but with a reduced programming block. And then Peacock Premium will be included at no charge to people who have Xfinity and Cox TV services, and then $5 a month for others. And then you can upgrade subscribers to Peacock Premium, whether included through the provider or paid separately, can upgrade to an ad-free version for an extra $5 a month. So you can either pay $5 a month and have it with ads, or $10 a month and have it without ads. So that seems decent. So if they can get if they can get a good list built up, I mean, it's going to have a bunch of reboots and stuff. Like there's going to be a Saved by the Bell reboot, a MacGruber spinoff, based off of the SNL skit making fun of MacGyver. A new Curious George show. AP Bio is moving to Peacock, and then they're going to have The Office and all of that. So interesting. But Connor, since we kind of got a little sidetracked there, what is your recommendation then for this week?
All right, I am excited for this one because, as you guys know, you guys are probably the two biggest baseball fans I know outside of myself.
Yes.
Baseball season should be in full swing. So I wanted to recommend a baseball comedy, which I think it should be, popular enough that you guys both should have heard of it. It's called Major League, and it's from 1989, starring Charlie Sheen and my favorite baseball team's radio announcer, Bob Uecker. So you guys should check that out.
Well, what streaming services is Major League available on there, Connor? Because I'm a poor boy, and if I have to pay money to watch a movie,
are you going to be upsetty spaghetti?
I might. Do I have Major League on Blu-ray? I might.
Yeah. So this is available on Amazon Prime Video.
Bam! I have that.
Awesome. And I do not.
Major League 2 is on Netflix. Can I watch that?
You may not.
You have to watch the original because it's not because Major League 2.
Luke, you're going to need to send me your Amazon Prime login.
Or you can rent it on YouTube for $3.
Or I cannot do that because you'll give me the info I need to get in.
Why would I do that?
Because otherwise I'm not rating it.
Wow.
So you guys figure that out as you must. But yes, so that does it for this Easter Sunday episode of Rocket Talk. We had that little special for Easter by offering the same exact format as we normally would.
Even though this will be coming out a week after Easter.
Exactly.
And that means by the time people hear this, the cursed bunny will be finally gone from Animal Crossing, and I can finally fish.
Get out of here, Zipper.
And get back to getting fish, and occasionally boots and tires and cans, but fish instead of eggs.
Go back. I miss when it said sea bass, more like a C+.
True.
Boo.
No, that wasn't my joke. That was a joke that they came up with.
That's a game.
I know.
Joke.
I'm still booing the joke, but
okay.
yeah. So that's it for this week. Thank you guys so much for listening. Please like, subscribe, and share on all formats that you can. And please let us know what you want to hear from us, and we will try to fit that into our episodes. But until then, my name is Philip DeFranco. You've just been filled in. I love your face. I shouldn't go with that.
That's not. No, you're not. You're Connor.
Oh yeah. Okay.
You're not famous YouTuber Phil DeFranco. You're Connor.
I know.
From Rocket Talk.
I'm a much better version.
I feel like you just betrayed us right there.
Well,
wow.
Guys, I'll flog myself if to show you guys I'm sorry.
Good.
As Connor said, thanks again for listening, guys. Tune in next week as we continue to talk more about whatever nerdy things we can fill an hour on during this quarantine